So let's get straight to it. What was the deal that Pophouse did with Kiss?
Yeah. So Pophouse did a really of a first of its kind deal with Kiss. I mean, number one, they bought the music catalog, which is in and of itself, a fascinating deal, not particularly unique, right? Lots of people buy music catalogs and there's a very well-established market for doing that and a lot of buyers for music catalogs. And I'm sure we'll come back and talk about that more later. And that part of the deal was interesting in and of itself because you've got a band that was producing music for 50 years and went through lots of ups and downs and trials and tribulations and people leaving the band and entering the band. So, doing the catalog deal itself would have been interesting. But what made this really fun and unique and a deal that really hadn't been done before is the aspects of Kiss that are unique and that Pophouse really wanted to make sure it had the ability to exploit, right? Everybody knows that, whether you're a fan of Kiss's music or not, everyone knows and recognizes Kiss, right? The face paint designs, the characters are instantly recognizable. And the theatrics of a Kiss concert is something that everybody is familiar with. And really, what this deal was about was Pophouse having a vision for how to bring Kiss and the Kiss music into the next generation. Right? Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, who are two of the founders and the two that kept the band alive, and who owned all the rights to the Kiss IP. Um, are in their 70s and they stopped touring at the end of 2023. And Pophouse had a vision for how to ensure that Kiss and its legacy lived on forever, regardless of the fact that Gene and Paul and the Kiss band would no longer be touring. So that's kind of the headline is, in addition to buying the catalog, Pophouse bought everything else related to Kiss, including the trademarks in the face paint designs and in the name and branding and the logo of Kiss and the name, image, and likeness of the band members. And in particular, um, they working with Industrial Light and Magic, which is the group that produced, it's George Lucas's laboratory that produced the Star Wars movies. They captured the biometric data of the band members, including their movements and their facial expressions. And one of the things that Pophouse plans to do is to create an avatar show where you will be able to go and see a Kiss concert. And more than a Kiss concert, because Kiss is more than that. But you'll be able to see a massive theatrical experience in a venue built for this purpose with the biometric data that's been captured from the band members turned into digital avatars so that Industrial Light and Magic can create this show. And it's going to be a pretty special experience. So that's part of the Pophouse vision as well.
Right. So it's not just the traditional audio catalog deal with maybe a little bit of rights around using the name as you're monetizing the songs, but you're actually getting the full image of an avatar, basically.
Yeah.
That's what's unique, right?
Yes, and the right to use that biometric data as well, plus all of the other tr IP that goes along with Kiss, right? I mean, there are bands and then there are brands, and Kiss is both a band and a brand, and there's more, more than just that. I see a question coming in that's really interesting because there is a connection between Kiss and ABBA Voyage, but there are other acts that are like that. Elvis is a brand, right? Um, and there are things to exploit other than just the music. And Kiss in some ways maybe is the paradigm for that, right? Gene Simmons, I have a clip of Gene Simmons that I use sometimes when we want to do presentations about the Kiss deal and clients want to learn more, we've got this PowerPoint deck that we use that would bore all of you, and so we're not using it. But there's this clip of Gene Simmons saying, if you zoom in on Mount Rushmore and you see Teddy Roosevelt, no one knows who he is. Right? How many people are going to recognize Teddy Roosevelt on Mount Rushmore? But you see the face of a band member of Kiss with the makeup on, everyone knows it's Kiss immediately.
or the tongue.
Yeah, or the tongue, right? And that's true if you're in the United States, if you're in Europe, if you're in South America, it doesn't matter. Everyone knows those characters, and that brand has real value. To the question, by the way, about ABBA Voyage, great question. ABBA Voyage was actually produced by Pophouse. That was the test case for them. And it was incredibly successful, continues to be incredibly successful. And they said, ABBA Voyage is cool. Imagine what we could do with Kiss. Right? And that was sort of the part of the driving reason for them to do this. So I hope
Yeah.
I answered that question.